Yeah, because unlike the forms of how it does it in the forms of in Mario Party 2, all the way up to, let's just say, Wii Party, for instance, at the very least you can able to actually watch the computer players in action for some mini-games, but every nowadays, when it comes to specifically, not only Mario Party DS, if you want to count that I suppose, but in addition to the forms of Mario Party 9 and onwards, obviously those about the fact that Nintendo Cube or NT Cube back then, obviously those about the fact that their attempts are able to go and forced able to skip the actual CPU performances in terms of the forms of some mini-games, specifically the dual mini-games variety and all that stuff. So either way though, I really do miss those days, especially noticeable that back when I was younger, I always attempt able to set those my players into CPUs as in the actual match itself on one of the boards, specifically in the GameCube era when it comes to Mario Party games like, you know, Mario Party 4, Mario Party 5, as well as Mario Party 6, because chances are though, unlike 7 though, and especially noticeable with Mario Party 8 as well, you cannot set those CPUs in all 4 players. So as a result, yeah, I can totally understand why, the fact that they somehow ditched the formula, in regards to the forms of trying to watch the computer players in action, not only for the actual board games themselves, but in addition to the forms of, well, the mini games themselves too. So either way. Alright, another mini game. So as a result, we're going into another 4-player mini game. So let's see, are we going to be playing next? Ooh, Platform Peril. I've heard of that name before. Oh, it's another one of those returning minigames from Mario Party's past, except this time it's more specifically based off from Mario Party 1. So because of all that, the lack of conveyor belts, and instead we're about to be seeing is pyramids on each platforms. So either way, cross the platforms and collect coins. If you fall, you're out. So yeah, if you couldn't tell, what makes this particular version of Platform Peril is actually a lot different this time around compared to the forms of how it does it on not only the original Mario Party 1, but in addition to Mario Party 2 version, if you couldn't tell. Well, I'm afraid to tell you for this point, guys, is about the fact that this particular minigame is now a coin collecting minigame as opposed to the forms of how it does it for the competitive minigame that was back in the day for not only Mario Party 1, but in addition to Mario Party 2 versions as well. So logically though, is about the fact that all we have to really do in this minigame right here is to try to collect some more coins, and that's about it basically. Which I do like about the fact that Platform Peril returns here, but I still honestly prefer the Mario Party 2 version, because in Mario Party 2 version is actually a lot more exciting, just because of all that new obstacles and in addition to challenging controls you have to cope with. So for instance though, in Mario Party 1, there's nothing more than just pyramids, and as a result there are some plentiful of coins you can able to collect along the way, such as the forms of singular coins or coin bags essentially on a rare occasion, whilst in Mario Party 2 though, it actually added in a lot of obstacles such as conveyor belts, moving platforms, and in addition to standard platforms as well. So as a result though, I can totally see why there's some fans out there a little bit ticked off about this particular version of Platform Peril this time around, because I'm almost assuming for the fact it's all about competitive rules, but nope. Instead, it actually turns into a coin collecting minigame, which I don't mind it. It's just about the fact that different is always felt a bit pretty hit and miss sometimes when it comes to some fans out there, which I totally understand, because obviously though, what makes the forms of the original version of Platform Peril so great, even with Mario Party 2 version of that, obviously though, is about the fact it's all about the intense moments when it comes to competitive side of things. So oh well though, beggars can't be choosers unfortunately, so either way. But at the very least though, is about the fact I'm pretty sure we're getting very close towards at the very end in terms of the forms of seeing those returning minigames from Mario Party's past. So logically though, I believe, if I can recall correctly, we're only down to for about, let's just say 2 or 3 retro minigames left, or something on those lines. So, I mean, mind you though, I haven't exactly checked upon the actual minigames we have not played so far in Super Mario Party Jamboree for quite some time, because like I said before, I've been busy playing through Donkey Kong Bonanza. And speaking of which, recently completed the main story in terms of the forms of Donkey Kong Bonanza recently, but then again, I'm not going to go into any further details about this because it does manage to contain some spoiled elements, so because of that though, there's nothing right to harm about in terms of trying to mention about the forms of some spoilers, so as a result, I promise you guys I'm probably not going to mention any spoilers for those who have not owned the game yet, so as to be expected. So anyways, with that being said though, it's about the fact that, obviously if you couldn't tell already, it's about the fact that, well, today's date of course there is the, I want to say today is the 23rd today, in some cases in July, in 2025. Well, I was originally going to say the actual usual thing, like, you know, the 23rd of July of 2025 today, so yeah, I have no idea why I somehow managed able to point it out. So either way, and by that time, once we're done with this board, is that until tomorrow, that Super Mario Party Jamboree, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, plus Jamboree TV is going to be on its way until tomorrow. So as a result, not long now until that particular expansion is going to be releasing. So anyway, another new minigame, Hammer it Home, and this is another one of those motion control minigames here and there. Charge up the perfect amount of power. Hold ZL or ZR buttons and swing Joy-Con. Charge longer to hit harder. The first one to hammer all their nails into the board wins. So basically it's almost like a timing aspect as far as this is considering. So as a result though, I think this is another one of those new record types of minigames you can able to experience with. So
3.
Oh yeah, depending on what characters you're going to be using, either for small height characters or medium height characters, like as you can definitely tell for both Luigi and Bodo, they don't usually have the actual specific chair to stand on, whilst compared to Koopa and Spike, they both managed able to get themselves the actual chair to stand on, so yeah, that's very illogical. And how the heck did I came second? Oh, I get it, because I somehow messed it up quite a few times, which obviously that was about the fact that it has been quite a while since I actually have last experienced this minigame on my spare own time, so just to ensure I can able to practice that just before you're able to dive into the actual Let's Play itself until now, so. And it also doesn't help about the fact that it's a bonus minigame, so as a result, yeah, I was really so close to able to get myself my glorious coins amount, so, oh well, no big deal. Alright, Koopa's gonna get a 5, so, oh no, he's about to get his coins taken from Bodo. Yeah, I can totally get it about the fact that Bodo is gonna be, quite something as far as this particular board itself goes, so as a result, yep, there goes Koopa's coins, so. Oh jeez, 55! Oh my god, I believe Bodo's gonna play a dangerous game after all, so yeah, I can totally see why, for the fact that I believe I do need to try to avoid those Bodo's traps after all, so alright, let's see, okay, I'm probably not gonna land that, so I need to get like a higher number. Oh, 7, will that help? Yes, it'll help me by 1 margin, so although despite the fact I accidentally missed the actual item shop, but I suppose it really doesn't matter to me too much though, at least so far anyway, so alright, Spike gets a 5, so as a result he'll get some even more coins. So I believe he's now on to lap 4 as far as this is considering. And he gets the dueling glove, so hopefully we're able to get a chance to see yet another duel minigame later on, so as long as I'm going to be involved with this, so. Alright, Bodo, what are you going to do? You might consider getting, oh, she's probably going to make it to Boo. Oh my lord, 27 movements, oh jeez. Yeah, I can totally get it about the fact that she's probably going to target at me again, so. Yeah, there goes my winning streak so far. I mean, bonus stars will change the game, so as long as about the fact I can able to guarantee it's able to achieve the minigame bonus or rich bonus and what have you, so that way it'll gives me my better scenario in regards of the forms of trying to win this board, so I mean, we shall wait and see. So, but then again though, sometimes, you know, the bonus stars are randomized, so either way. Jeez Louise. So, yeah, like I said, I believe Bodo is about to get a lot more aggressive up to this point, especially considering with all that lucky dice rolls, and in addition to meeting up with Boo again. So, alright, another minigame we're going to be playing. Swamp the Difference, another new minigame. Find the unique image behind the protective swamps. Faster correct answers give higher scores. So be quick, but careful. So, yeah, basically though, you don't want to get instantly trying to answer the question, because otherwise though, if you answer it too quickly, then you're probably not gonna guaranteed able to win points. So, always have to take some bit of time to reveal the actual answers or anything else like that. So, chances are though is about the fact you have to be super steady with all that particular stuff like this. So, alright, not bad. Not bad so far.
Round 2.
And also something's worth noting for, speaking of which, in terms of the forms of something Sonic the Hedgehog related, as far as I'm aware, that originally though, that Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 was originally meant to be a huge crossover, such as for instance though, they were trying to able to bring in a bunch of characters from the Japanese developers all into one particular package. Like for instance, Sonic and Mario could have been competing with not only Mega Man or Rockman for those of you who live in Japan, and on top of that, Solid Snake and Goku if things worked out. But unfortunately though, that's not the case, because as a result, obviously that was about the fact that not only because of how the fact that Mario was a Nintendo mascot, but also Sonic is a Sega mascot. But I have no idea why they somehow managed able to bring up that idea into this massive collaboration in regards to the forms of trying to go into, you know, the actual Tokyo 2020 Olympics, or should I say 2021, just because, you know, the actual, back in the day, the pandemic really didn't help about the fact that they're trying to delay the actual Summer Olympics in Tokyo. So, either way. And also, what I thought was very odd about the forms of today, actually, or specifically most recently at the time, specifically though for those of you who lived in the UK, to be more specifically though, trying to able to actually access to, well, you get the idea with Disney Plus, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that out of nowhere, ITVX was now added to the Disney Plus, and I was like, something fishy is going on, especially noticeable for those of you who lived in the UK. I really can't guarantee it might trigger that in the American version, but either way. Okay, quick error right there, sorry about that folks, because another power cut just happened, and as a result we now ended up with another Jamboree buddy, except this time what appears to be Rosalina. And her ability is about the fact that if it's your turn, she will able to actually give you a random item, which as a result, yeah, conveniently enough though, this might actually be the only Showdown Jamboree buddy that if you do manage to turn on the motion controls on, you'll see why as soon as we're able to dive into the next Showdown minigame, as soon as when, I believe Spike is actually closest to Rosalina as far as I'm aware. So, either way, it looks like Koopa's about to be getting yet another star, so, yeah, I'm pretty sure no matter what though is about the fact I was really expecting he will able to actually target it at Bodo at this point, just because you know how the fact that Bodo's now gonna get a little bit aggressive. In terms of the forms of trying to stealing something from Boo, in terms of the forms of not only stars essentially, but also with coins on the rare occasion. So yeah, it's gonna be quite of a tricky scenario as far as anything else is considering. So alright, so now it's my turn. So I know for a fact that the star space is now onto the top route right now, so either way, I got ourselves a 4, so as a result, it'll lead me straight onto the blue space, which I don't mind, so better than trying to land on the event space, that's for sure. Alright, so yeah, Spike is gonna go and meet up with Rosalina, so as a result, we're about to be going into yet another Showdown minigame. So, logically though, I believe we've only just got about 4 more Jamboree buddies left, which, if I can recall correctly, those are Daisy, Donkey Kong, Yoshi, and Bowser Jr. So either way, let's hop into the only motion control minigame in Showdown minigames, Rosalina's Radical Race. Oh, this is quite interesting. It's gonna take place in a snowy environment, which is also filled to the brim with all these star bits as well. So, yeah, it's quite interesting to say the least. And also, conveniently enough, we're actually going to be doing some snowboarding, I see. So, yeah, it reminds me of so much of Alpine Assault from Mario Party 8. So, slide down the course to the goal. On ramps, shake Joy-Cons at the right time for big jumps. And the player with the advantage, like Spike for instance, he'll get himself a nice little boost item at the very start of the race. So, logically though, like I said earlier, it reminds me of so much of Alpine Assault from Mario Party 8, except now, this minigame is much longer than the forms of how it does with the Alpine Assault minigame. So, yeah, you get the idea at that point. So, but either way, and also as far as I'm aware, that we don't have the ability to able to press a dedicated button to jump onto these ramps anymore. So instead, we have to time our motion controls correctly until you're able to get ourselves a massive boost from those ramps. So, yeah, that's one way to put it for the sake of time. And also, we have to watch out for these little obstacles getting in your way, such as the forms those little stone things, as far as we can definitely tell. So, anyway, so also as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that I believe, if I can recall correctly, that we've only just got about, I would say, actually, I can't remember, because, well, despite the fact that, like I stated before, since in yesterday, that we've already just managed able to pre-order Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, plus Star Cross World recently. So as a result, though, it's about the fact that after that, though, that we'll definitely try to able to actually pre-order 2 versions at a time so far, for the sake of the forms of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds coming up, both of which are PS4 and the Switch 1 version, because, well, good thing that the Switch 2 version is going to be released until later on, specifically in 2026. So either way, so that way it'll give me a benefit for the doubt in regards to the forms we're trying to go after the 4th version of well, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. And as far as the Xbox version is concerned, I might wait on that until specifically until in October. So just in case about the fact that also I need to wait for some time until whenever when the new games will be revealed in later on in 2025, presumably speaking of for the forms of that, you know, the special celebration for the Mario's 40th anniversary coming up soon. So either way, no! Ah, dang it! Ah, Spike just somehow beats me to it. Oh, that's really annoying. Especially noticeable about the fact that it doesn't help about the fact he did manage to able to got himself the player advantage to begin with, so as a result, he did miraculously somehow win that minigame on very lucky by trying to able to actually get into the actual boost pads and all that stuff, and I was so close to able to actually try to recruit with her. And then logically though, that way, if I did manage to win her, then obviously though I can able to guarantee to miraculously trying to buy not only 2 stars, but also trying to meet up with Boo to potentially trying to able to steal, let's just say a star or something, or coins potentially, which, ah, dang it, I was so close, you know. But hopefully maybe next time for the sake of the forms of the later boards to come, but either way, I'm just a little bit paranoid, you know. Oh well, no big deal, but anyway. The next thing I want to point out, and that's what appears to be for the fact that out of nowhere, in England specifically, I don't suppose you noticed, but there was actually some more statues has been brought up in England, which appears to be this time around though, not only for Gromit, for Wallace and Gromit, but also Feathers McGraw. And as a result, they somehow managed able to create a design with a collaboration with not only Pixar, but in addition to Lucasfilm as well, which is pretty interesting, which either way, we'll discuss more about that if we dive into the next couple of turns later. So either way though, okay, so we experienced this minigame before, so we pretty much know what to expect. So anyway, as far as I'm aware, also around that time actually, did you guys know, it's been 10 years since Ant-Man first came out for the sake of the forms of the Marvel Studios film, and as a result though, while looking back on it though, I still managed to really enjoy it even to this day, especially unlike the forms of how it does on the 3rd film. I wasn't a big fan of it though, And unlike the second one, I think it's actually pretty great. Whilst the first one, it was pretty much a masterpiece, especially noticeable after 10 years since that particular film first came out. I mean, mind you, I didn't see it on a big screen, but thankfully, thanks to Disney Plus, did manage to able to actually bring the majority of those Marvel films in particular, like every single one of them, mind you, apart from likely maybe a couple of exceptions here and there. Well, it's hard for me to judge on that front, especially considering about the fact that it's been quite some time since I actually have last used Disney Plus for that matter, just because obviously though I was waiting for Thunderbolts to come out, and conveniently enough though, and during around that time until later on throughout the majority of the week, I might able to actually get a chance to experiencing the next Marvel film, which would appear to be the very first film on Phase 6 of all things, which appears to be the Fantastic Four First Steps, and I might actually be looking forward to checking that film out after seeing the actual brief trailer just before when I went to see Superman film. So as a result, yeah, I might be optimistic about the films of, you know, the next Marvel film, but this time around though focuses on, well, Fantastic Four crew. Alright, we're now on to the last 5 turns, so either way, as per expected. So currently we're on first place right now, but things will change for a while until, likely for the sake of defaults, one of those computer players will still able to actually target against with me, especially noticeable for trying to aim for first place as a result. So it looks like Cooper is about to do the actual choosing option, and what appears to be, they managed to choose. All of these players can able to actually access to double dice, except Spike for whatever reason, so either way. So logically though, that way it will able to actually allows me to catch up to the star itself. So how kind of you, Cooper, despite the fact you are pretty much close to, you know, the boo as it is, so I guess no matter what though, I think I might as well go down to second place no matter what, so yep. Oh jeez, this is where things gets a bit interesting to say the least. So yeah, there goes my another star. So, oh jeez, Louise. But hopefully though, until on the later boards though, things get a lot more relaxed when it comes to more accurately not to worry about things too much. But it's just about the fact that, you know, the entire board itself in Rolling Raceway is almost like a, you're almost trying to able to actually travel to the straight line, basically, aside from the fact that there's only like, 1 or 2 junctions to choose, so, yeah, that's as far as I was expecting for that, for the sake of time, though, really. And it looks like, conveniently enough, about the fact that he's going to be losing coins, so, that's something. So, anywho, in terms of the films, there's another thing else I'd like to explain to you all for something, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that it may look like that Assassin's Creed is about to be getting a live-action series on Netflix. So as a result, yeah, I think I have no idea when that's going to be releasing exactly, but either way though, because despite the fact that I didn't pay attention to the films of the actual release dates as much, so either way, that's pretty miserable. Even with that particular dice roll in mind, but luckily though, we've never actually landed on the actual event space, so that's something, so... Alright, so... Oh boy. Just oh boy in general, just because, well obviously, I think Bodo is actually almost trying to get to the star space again, so... And yeah, this is what happens right there. If your turn is about to start, you get yourselves a random item. Specifically, Spike actually got himself a mushroom, so... And speaking of items, he's going to be using a payday dice block, so... And he's going to get a 7, and 1 makes 8, so... Yeah, nothing right to hum about, I guess, so... Oh, that was close, because if he dares land on that particular event space, including Bodo, I would seriously gonna get myself screwed over no matter what, so... But on the plus side though, is about the fact that we got a bunch of coins up to this point, so... Alright, let's see what Bodo's gonna get. 3 and 10 makes 13, so... And logically though, she was so close to get to the star, and as a matter of fact, she lands on an unlucky space, which I suppose that's generally a good thing on my part, because either way, I can definitely try to catch up to this point, so... Assuming, of course, if I don't land on the not only the unlucky space, but also with the event space as well. So I'm really hoping that'll be the case.
Minigame.
Alright, another minigame, and it may look likely it's going to be a 2 versus 2 minigame, so yeah, let's see what we're going to be playing next. Coin Crawl. Okay, that sounds interesting. Another coin collecting minigame, and a motion control minigame at the same time. So, lasso the treasure chests. The big ones need 2 lassos and contain 3 coins, while the small ones contain 1 coin. Getting a bomb will cost you time, so in fact, this minigame reminds me of so much of Blazing Lassos from the likes of Mario Party 8 as well. However, unlike in that particular minigame, as you can definitely tell, this minigame is all around team-based as opposed to one-on-one duel minigame. So, and not only that though, it no longer takes place in a Western environment, so yeah, I guess that makes it a little bit more obvious than ever, so although I will admit though right away, this minigame's motion controls just feels a bit too much of a hit and miss for me, because there are a couple of times though I was about to be prepared to try to able to actually fling my Joy-Con to able to actually release my lasso, whilst other times though it's about the fact that it just refused able to actually come out of it most of the time. So logically though it's about the fact that I was expecting to try to demonstrate with Joy-Con 2 controllers on my spare own time, whilst again the Switch 2 edition of Super Mario Party Jamboree is going to be releasing until tomorrow up to that point. I'm not entirely sure what the review scores is going to be like compared to the forms of how it does on the Switch 1 version. I mean, we shall wait and see what happens in due time, so either way. We literally once again off by 1 coin ahead of the forms of the opposing team, or the opposite team I should say, so oh well, at the very least we got some coins, so that's something, alright? But anyway, back into what I was saying about the forms of that particular interesting collaboration with, not only with Pixar, but in addition to Lucasfilm as well, in terms of the forms of the actual statue sculptures of not only for the sake of the forms of Gromit, but also Feathers McGraw for the likes of, you know, Wallace and Gromit, and as a matter of fact, that Gromit is actually dressed up as Woody from Toy Story, which is pretty interesting. And meanwhile, for Feathers McGraw, he's actually becomes the forms of Darth Vader from the Star Wars films. Specifically, the original trilogy, as well as the forms of Episode 3 as well. So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting, all things considered, with all that sculptures and everything. So yeah, that's actually pretty top-notch, all things considered. So speaking of something top-notch though, thankfully we somehow managed to get ourselves Rosalina, despite the fact that we're probably not going to get our freebie item at that point, because obviously though, we only got 1 turn left until she decides to go, so oh well though, no big deal, but at the very least though, we could I missed that boost spot. Oh well though, I suppose no matter what though, my stars will be stolen again, at least as far as I do somehow trying to predict that, so alright, so it looks like Spike is going to be using the Turbo Dice, I suppose, which I guess that makes it pretty obvious, because now the star space is now being moved to a different spot. And he gets a 13, and oh, looks like he skips over the boost spot too, so I should be safe for now. As long as about the fact that if Bodo is my only main concern with this though, especially because of all that, well, you get the idea for that point, so okay, thankfully she's going to be using the Turbo Dice at the very least, so 10, 8, 9, and 7. So, I suppose no matter what though, that Bodo is definitely going to go after the Sightseer bonus, I'm pretty sure, because the Turbo Dice, as far as I'm aware, it does count, so but at the very least, thankfully though, we didn't get ourselves harmed or anything with the boo and everything, so I guess that makes it pretty obvious. Alright, another 4-player minigame. I'm pretty surprised about the fact that we've basically almost done in terms of the forms of every single 4-player minigames up to this point. So, alright, Big Top Quiz. Another quiz minigame. So, study the images on the balls and then answer the questions. Faster correct answers are worth more points, so be quick but careful. Just like the forms of how it does it on Form the Difference, except this time, it's now going to be, it's almost like a circus performance when it comes to multicolored toads, I say, so But anyway, in terms of the forms of something else I would like to mention about, in regards to the forms of Mario Kart Tour, as far as I'm aware, it did say for the fact that it's supposedly, though, when it comes to not only mechanic Mario, but also mechanical Luigi or something like that, with those outfits coming to Mario Kart Tour, it did say it's supposedly going to be a DLC, stands for downloadable content or something like that. Or if not, though, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens until later on today. Because, well, truth be told, though, it's about the fact that my phone storage is almost running out of space up to this point, which means I have to keep on re-downloading the game. And as a result, though, just to be curious to check it out. And on top of all that stuff, though, it's about the fact that there are 4 variants of the forms of those tiny Titan cards, which I did somehow manage able to point it out. And as a result, those colors are normal default ones, which appears to be the red color, and in addition to the rainbowy color, okay, that's interesting. And on top of that, there's also the one with the gold or wheel tires, or the yellow tires, as far as I'm aware. And in addition to something like related to that, snowy tires, at least as far as I did somehow point it out for the visual stuff. So okay, just need to focus here. That was obviously this thing right here, because, well, that particular Parabut did somehow not showed up, so... Or maybe I keep on thinking about something else. Oh, Parabeat also, I should say, because I know for a fact it's been such a very long while as well, since I actually have last played not only New Super Mario Bros. Wii, but in addition to New Super Mario Bros. U as well, because, well, truth be told though, I'm so gonna be ready for what's gonna be up next, for the sake of the forms of Mario games to come, aside from the fact that so far, that technically if you want to count the Donkey Kong games, specifically Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, and recently Donkey Kong Bonanza, I believe so far we actually got about, I would say 4 Mario games have been released so far in 2025, so yeah, I guess that sort of counts, at least as far as I am aware of, so... Anyways, let's see what, oh, we got another 10, how about that? So that way we can able to skip over those, Bowser spaces, and we'll stop by the actual, pit stops, so just in case we can able to actually get, some more items, ranging from the majority of the dice items, like creepy dice block, which I'm alright with, and another one of those creepy dice blocks, and a double dice, so I might be fine with that setup, so... But, yeah, I guess there's nothing else I can really say about this, I guess. Although, there was technically the one last thing I wanted to mention about this before we get closer towards the end of this board, basically. Is that, oh, before we get into more details about that, here comes the next duel minigame we are about to be playing on. So, yeah, I'm very curious to know what's going to be up next. So, as a result, though, because then again, though, there's only one motion control minigame on the dual minigame variety, so we're really hoping we're able to come across into that. Jeez, 133 coins we are wagering into, which is going to be a little bit more aggressive. So, Slappy Go Around. Okay, this is interesting. Do a ground pound to spin the hand and hit your opponent, and dodge it with a jump. If your opponent dodges, the hand hits you. If you get hit 5 times, you lose. So, basically though, we've got 5 health, so as a result, if you lose 5 hit points, then you obviously lose this minigame. So, my best strategy for this is, if you try to compete against with the computer player, always have to make sure you jump at the right time if the opponents decide able to use the ground pound. So, pay attention to the animation, and you should be good to go. So, either way, because I can imagine about the fact that it's almost like a spiritual successor to the forms of, one of the mini-games for the sake of the forms of, I would say, Mario Party Advance or something like that. I mean, hard for me to judge on that front, because, well, as you can definitely tell, I am super duper rich right now, in terms of the amount of coins we can able to expect to hold off from. So, yeah, that seems, interesting to say the least. So, another Bowser space right there for Spike. So, anyway, I suppose there's technically is the last thing I want to mention about in terms of today's discussion, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that, did you guys know it's been 10 years ago since that particular video called Unused Cartoon Cutscenes from Crash Bandicoot has been first published by the forms of David Silla, which as a result though, he did manage to publish the video about it since in 2015, and while looking back on it, after 10 years since when that video was first published, the cartoon is pretty hit and miss. I mean, on the other hand though, is about the fact I do like the actual, the unused concept of it, but execution-wise, no wonder why it's actually in lost media, in terms of the forms of the Crash Bandicoot history, because even then though, it was trying to be humorous at times, but usually, relatively speaking, though, it does not work very well during the forms of the actual development cycle. And not only that, though, we can tell you for sure that Crash Bandicoot was obviously a 3D platforming game, which obviously, though, it makes it a little bit more obvious about the fact that why they somehow ditched the actual 2D animated cartoon cutscenes, all things considered. Like, there's two cutscenes in particular, which appears to be the opening and the ending, or specifically the bad ending of the game, which as a result though, and not only that though, I found it very bizarre, but the fact that while looking back on it though, is that Jim Cummings did the actual voice during the intro, which, yeah, he also did the voice of not only Winnie the Pooh, but in addition to Tigger from the likes of the forms of As Be Expected, Winnie the Pooh, and maybe Pete as well, for the sake of the forms of the Mickey Mouse cartoons or anything else like that. So, yeah, very bizarre times, you know, especially considering for the fact that the animation itself just feels a bit all over the place, and also the lyrics are kind of annoying, honestly, in during the forms of that particular opening sequence of that particular unused you know, cartoon animation as far as I'm aware, so, yeah, no wonder why that, like I said before, it's now considerably lost media, or specifically, it's locked in the actual vault for the longest time since, you know, almost 30 years, so...
Jamboree.
Anyway, here's the next Jamboree buddy, and that's what appears to be Donkey Kong, and his ability is that before you're able to actually, begin your, dice roll, you actually have the option to able to actually go from, warp into any other spots of the board. So, for instance, he does have a barrel, and if you try to able to actually go for that option to select yes, it will randomly decide able to go into any other random spots you want to go into. But if you select no, then obviously though you can able to actually stay where you left off and try to able to actually roll the dice to continue your progress of the board. So, yeah, that's as far as I was expecting to mention about that, and I don't suppose anyone else is probably not going to catch up to him at this point. I mean, luckily though about the fact that we've already did manage to able to experience, well, technically for the fact that we somehow experienced, I would say 4 of those Jamboree Showdown minigames so far in this board. I mean, 3 we have not seen yet, although we have seen them now, and then the other one we've already experienced since the first board, so... Oh jeez, it looks like Spike might potentially try to get himself the Bowser Space bonus after all, so... Because I mean, after all, he did manage to land on that Bowser Space for about, I would say 3 times or something like that, which I, again, lost count on it, so... Oh jeez, Bowser Shuffle, I've heard of that particular event before, which, if you remember, not only for the likes of the forms of, I would say, Mario Party 4, but in addition to Mario Party 5, and I suppose maybe Superstars as well. Basically though, this allows that option to shuffle those players around on the actual board. So I'm now onto the actual Bowser Space again, so despite the fact though I'm a little bit further back, so I'm fine with that personally, but either way. Okay, so it looks like Bowser's gonna fling onto the furthest progression right there, and I suppose until the next turn that she will able to actually use the custom dice block, no matter what, because of all that. You know what I'm saying, for the fact that she's actually getting close to the next star, so either way, blame it on the crane again, so... And let's see what really happens if we somehow win this time around, which we're really hoping that'll be the case, so... Ah, dang it, I've got caught for about a few seconds early, so... that was a terrific start. But I digress. So, yeah, I believe, suffice to say though, is about the fact that, like I said before, there's nothing else I can really talk about, although I would have liked able to, again, try to able to explain about the forms of, the announcements they did somehow bring. for the sake of the forms of the Pokemon Presents recently, but suffice to say though, we'll have to wait until specifically either later on in this week, or if not, then as soon as we're able to actually get into the next board, then obviously though about the fact that we can able to actually just, well, you get the idea. And also, fun fact is about the fact that when it comes to Mario Kart Tour in mind, obviously though is about the fact that the 2025 rerun of the tour, specifically the Summer Tour, we're able to actually introduce the mechanic variants of Mario and Luigi as drivers, as well as the forms of 4 carts, the Tiny Titan, and 3 variants of it, and as part of the forms of the event celebrating the release of Mario Kart World. Now I think, relatively speaking, this will be the first new content introduced to Mario Kart Tour since the 2023 anniversary tour. As a result, this is the only tour to have an official trailer for its second rerun, which adds a section promoting the Mario Kart World event, as all of the other repeated tours only receives trailers for their first reruns. So yeah, I think this might actually be the only time we can able to actually experience something new was added on the actual reruns on several of those tours. So yeah, I think I get the feeling about the fact that once we go back onto other tours in the future, specifically though in terms of the forms of, let's just say, the anniversary tour or something like that, though I suppose no matter what though, I don't think they'll try to bring any new content for the sake of time after this though. I mean, conveniently enough though, is about the fact that at this point in time, I believe we're actually going to be going into, let's just say for a grand total of, let's just say 267 playable characters in Mario Kart Tour at this point, which is pretty insane if you ask me. Although, truth be told though, is about the fact I'm pretty sure the mechanical outfits for both Mario and Luigi is already accessible in Mario Kart World. So, I suffice to say though, it might be a little bit redundant to me though. Well, either way though, I suppose that particular discussion can wait though, probably at some point in the next couple of days time, specifically once we get onto the next board if possible. So, and as we expected, Bodo got herself the yet another star, which as a result, me and Bodo are very close in regards to the forms of first or second place. But either way, final minigame in Rolling Raceway, which either way, my goodness, it's almost like a marathon of some kind. So either way, and let's end things off with 1 versus 3 with Income Stream, another coin collecting minigame, and it's another one of those motion control minigames too. So the solo player rides Plussy from Super Mario 3D World, which is interesting, while the others ride water scooters. Collect all of the coins you can, but be careful falling off the waterway. You will lose. It'll cost you time. So yeah, that's as far as I was expecting for how this minigame plays out to be. So again, it's all motion controlled and everything. Now I believe we've only got about one more 1 versus 3 minigame left, believe it or not, which, truth be told, is going to be another one of those motion control minigames that we haven't exactly experienced yet. So, assuming, of course, if you managed able to get onto the team side as opposed to a solo player, but either way, oh yeah, you can also bump off the other players as well. So logically though, it's about the fact that not only this will be the first time ever that Koopa, Spike, and even Bowser, and even Bodo can able to ride on Plussy, but in addition to Toadette as well for the first time as well, for the sake of the forms to try to ride on the Plussy, because even then though, because in Super Mario 3D World, including Bowser's Fury as well, if you want to count that, basically though, in that game, that Mario, Luigi, Peach, Blue Toad especially, and Rosalina have already ride on Plussy before for the sake of the forms of Super Mario 3D World. So either way, it is nice about the fact that everyone else can now able to ride on Plussy, including you know, Wario, Daisy, and Pauline, and Waluigi especially. So yes, that is nice, I suppose. So either way, time for the final results in terms of Rolling Raceway, and suffice to say though, it's gone a bit all over the place when it comes to likely trying to obtain several stars at one hand. So, but this is all really comes down to the bonus stars after all. So, yeah, Bowser's base bonus goes to Spike, because good thing he did manage to land on that twice in a row. in the previous turns, so good thing I somehow predict that. So, alright, minigame bonus, we know exactly who that goes to. Me, because obviously though I won several minigames, apart from a few exceptions, but either way, yeah, I'm very appreciative we've got that. And the last bonus we have is Rich bonus. Oh gee, I wonder who's gonna get that. Me! So logically I've now got 2 bonus stars, so I'm simply back up on first place. So, good thing those bonus stars did manage to come into play, because if it's simply switched off, then obviously that was about the fact I can still able to guarantee to win if the bonus stars have been switched off, but either way. So there goes our second victory in Super Mario Party Jamboree. So, I will say that was awfully close at the very final stretch in terms of the entire board because of all that boost stealing and in addition to so obsession with the highest dice rolls within triple dice or double dice essentially. But apart from those aside things though, I still managed to claim myself my second victory at the end. So, with that being said though, we've only got 5 more boards to go. So suffice to say though, for the next board coming up though, I might not looking forward to the next board, because the next board we're about to be diving into is, suffice to say, Goomba Lagoon, which I was originally trying to able to choose Mario's Rainbow Castle, but that particular board can't wait though, and during in a later time, just because no matter what though, I just want to show off the new boards to start things off, and as per expected, we'll save King Bowser's Keep for last, because you know, it's a grand finale board, so either way though, because that's as far as we can able to go for that point, so in either way. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, maximum of 999 coins we somehow got, so that's the maximum we can only get up to, much like the forms of how it does it on Mario Party Superstars, in some aspects, if you try to set the game onto, you know, 30-turn game, so, yeah, I guess that makes it pretty obvious. And I could have won the item bonus if that comes into play, and in addition to the shopping bonus as well, I think, so, yeah, I guess that's all there is to it, and suffice to say, yeah, I believe Turbo Dice does count, by the way, for Bodo, for the sake of the Forms of the Sightseer bonus. So, yeah, with that being said, folks, is that we are gonna have to end things off at this point right here, so, anyway, join me next week for more of Let's Play of Super Mario Party Jamboree, is that we're about to be diving into the 3rd board in Mario Party mode, and suffice to say, we're going into Goomba Lagoon next. And out of all the actual boards in the entire game, Goomba Lagoon is perhaps one of my least favorite boards in the game, with that one specific mechanic. So I'll see you guys until next Monday. Later, fellas.